Yo, what's going on, guys? How are we doing? Welcome back to another Dream Apart video. Today is the day we are on the Premier League season start. That is the worst English ever, but it's back. Finally, we can actually watch the Premier League again and watch us. Yeah, God knows what will happen with us. But so today we're here for the Premier League predictions. Obviously, this is all obviously opinionated, but comments down below where you guys think, whether I'm, let's say, biased or if I'm completely off or what you guys have done. But we're going to start straight away. Starting with 20th, so we're starting from bottom to top. So 20th, we have Sheffield United. Now, with Sheffield United, they've literally just lost their best player. Ndiaye's gone to Marseille. Obviously, I'm not going to say I've watched Sheffield United for God knows how long, but going off reports and things like that, he seems like he was their prolific guy. So, and it seems like Burnley are about to buy Sander Berge as well, and that's going to be a massive miss. So, and I don't see them buying anyone. I think I've only seen them buy, I think his name's Trusty or something like that from Arsenal. Unheard of, not experienced anything like that. So, yeah, I think they're dead bottom. 19th, Luton. I think they might scrape a couple of points when it comes to home games, and it'll be against the bottom teams. But it's saying again, they're buying to dominate when they go down to come back up. It seems like that's what they're looking to do, because they obviously can't afford things like that, and obviously they're having to improve their stadium. So obviously financially they're obviously in the mud. So they're 19th. 18th, I've gone Wolves. Now, literally about an hour ago, Lopetegui, however his name is, Lopetegui, looks like he wants to leave already. They're in FFP problems, and it seems like all the money they brought in from losing Ruben Neves, Raul Jimenez, could potentially lose an Ait-Nouri as well. I've seen that somewhere. It's vital players they're losing, and they can't spend. They've literally spent 50 million on Matheus Cunha. He ain't gonna solve no problems. Let's be real. So I feel like Wolves will be that team that are gonna struggle there. I've heard Gary O'Neill might be stepping in, so that might actually help. Obviously, just showing off what he did at Bournemouth last season, but then again, I don't think the squad's strong enough. They lost Nathan Collins as well, I forgot about that, and he's a very good centre back. So yeah, they're 18th. 17th, Nottingham Forest. Now, it was hard to do these bottom, let's say, 6 to 8 teams. It was tough, because Forest can just go, they can shoot up quite easily. But it's the same again. They spent all their money last season. They've brought in Matt Turner, I think it is. Yet again, in my opinion, he's nowhere near as good as Keylor Navas, who they had last season. I think he helped, but it's the same again. Home form for Forest kept them up last season. They were unbeaten for like a few months. So if they could do that again, then I think they'll stay up 100%. Morgan Gibbs-White obviously is the vocal point in that squad. As long as he doesn't pick up any injuries, I think they'll just about stay up. On to the next one. We have Burnley. Burnley, I think, will be fine. I can't see them changing too much of the way they play from when they're in Championship. Well, they'll try and implement the same system. Obviously, they've lost a couple of players. Obviously, Nathan Tella going back to Southampton. They lost another player off the top of my head. I can't remember, but I don't know. It's a weird one. They obviously signed James Trafford, I think his name is, the Man City goalkeeper. Seemed to be very good for England. Obviously, he's winning them the actual trophy. So, some potential alright signings there. I think they spent about 50-60 million. I can't name all the players that they've signed, but there's a couple there. But yeah, I think Kompany will be fine. I think he'll 100% implement what he wants to do, no matter who he plays against, and he'll be fine. Right, on to 15th, Fulham. Now, Fulham have lost Mitrovic, and they've signed Raul Jimenez. Now, in my opinion, old Raul Jimenez, fair enough. Since his injury, that unfortunate injury, he has never been the same. And injury problems here and there. They sold Manor Solomon. Obviously, I know he only came back from injury, but he wasn't bad when he came back. If they keep Harry Wilson and Pereira when he comes back fit, I think they'll do fine. Polinia, obviously, no one knows whether he's staying or going. So, yeah. Obviously, they got Willian back on another year. And they're looking at Callum Hudson-Odoi. Obviously, I'm not going to say Callum Hudson-Odoi will make them, they'll go amazing, but he'll help towards depth. So, yeah, I think they'll do fine. Marcus Silva knows what he's doing, showed it last season. So, yeah, on to the next one. Everton, Dyche. People have a go at me for this, but Sean Dyche, full season at Everton. Yeah, he's already had an unfortunate injury when it comes to Dwight McNeil. See, I don't actually know how long he's out for. But I think I read up it was a ligament injury, so it could be months. Obviously, Calvin Lewin's never fit, so I'm not saying that. But they've bought some alright players. Dan Juma, I think he could be very exciting. They were looking at someone else. Who was it? I really should have researched this before I did this video, to be honest. Anyway, off that. But structure-wise, I think they'll be fine. Dyche will get him playing the way he wants, and we all know how that is. And it can be quite deadly, and they showed that towards the end of last season. They weren't that bad. They were getting points when they shouldn't have. Brighton, against Brighton, prime example, absolutely battered Brighton towards the end of the season. So I can see them being a side where it could be a thorn in the arse, but we'll see. On to 13th, Bournemouth. Now, on paper, Bournemouth should be near the bottom. Their defence isn't great at all. It's not top notch, but the midfield and the strike force wasn't bad. Like Solanke was fine. That Otara, when he joined in, I think it was in January, he was very, very good. Billing was picking up goals and assists here and there. They just looked the part. And now reports from this new manager, I think it's Arola. He's supposed to be a high pressing manager, so he expects a lot from his players. I think they've got the players. He's got the players, some players to do it, where he can high press. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they've got. But as I said, between 17th and 12th, maybe 10th, sorry, it is literally a one way. Like, you don't know how it's gonna go. So we'll move on to 12th. I've got Brentford. I would have actually put them maybe like 10th. But I know you can't really judge pre-season, but they looked bad without Tony. Without them having Tony is a massive, massive loss. Now, I've seen literally a couple of minutes ago, they've looked at Nicolas Gonzalez. Now, that would be a quality signing because I rate him quite highly. But I think Thomas Frank's got a lot on his plate towards the strike for. He is really relying on people like Wissa and Mbeumo to pick up these goals, which he's got to. He has no choice. He's got faith in his players, which is fair enough. The midfield, same again. I think he'll be fine with Janelt, Jensen, and could be on the Echo on Norgard. I don't know how they would run out, but yeah. And they've obviously strengthened up with Flecken, who I personally think going off pre-season is actually worse than Raya. But Nathan Collins is a good signing. I think he'll do well there. Whether he lays out with a 4-back, because that's what they've been using. They've been using a 4-back from what I've seen, as well as a mixture of 5 with Rico Henry and Ross Lev as their wing backs. Although I think it would depend on like certain games who they play. So we'll see. But on to the next one, 11th. I've got West Ham. They lost at Declan Rice. I don't think I've got to explain much why and who they're buying. I don't think it's going to solve the problem. They're looking at pairing Souček, let's say, with McTominay. If it's the Scotland McTominay, fair enough. like he's not actually bad when he plays for Scotland. Like I wouldn't say he's like, oh, he's amazing. He's average. And then they're looking at Maguire as well. Same again. I don't think that will solve their problems. Striker, they don't have one. Realistically, I don't think they've actually got a 9 that will bag, let's say, 15 plus goals a season. Bowen, fine. Paqueta looked very good towards the end of the season. I think that's who they're going to rely on quite a lot in that 10 role this season. If he does play the 10, obviously, I think he played like a mix between an 8 and a 10 towards the end. But yeah, no. I think they'll be okay, but I don't think they'll impress and go beyond 10th, let's say. I think there's too many better teams than West Ham. And they've also got Europe as well. So that will come into play too. 10th, I've put Palace. I think they're going to really excel this season. I know they've lost Zaha, and I know Elise's injured, but looking at just their squad, it's not bad. It is actually quite good. The defence isn't weak. I think the centre-back pairing of Anderson and Gay is very solid. And then the midfield, they've strengthened the midfield with Jefferson Lerma. I think they're two very similar. Him and Decore are very similar players, but it really could work. Two ball-winning midfielders and having Eze as their 10, it's a perfect solution for them. I think the only thing they lack is a striker. They've got Ayew, who kind of plays off the left and then up top. Then they've got Edouard, who seems like he can't stay fit, and Mateus. They're both just as bad, terrible. So I think they might look at a number 9. Obviously, I know Elise is injured, but it looks like he's going out the door anyway. It seems like Chelsea and City are looking at him, and I think he will leave. Because that release clause of 35 million is too cheap for someone at his quality. I think Hodgson knows that they ain't stopping Elise from leaving, so I think 10th. I think that's realistic. They might be 12th, 13th, depends on their strike, but I think Eze will hard carry. I think that's what happened. He looked very good during pre-season. So, and I think he knows his role, that he's got to put up some numbers and statistics this season. On to 9th. Brighton. I think Europe's going to hurt them a little bit. I think Europe might hurt them. Plus, them losing their best players. Yeah, De Zerbi's got this sort of wonder way that he's bringing in these, like Enciso from last season, that just doesn't look like it's a problem, and it's just replaceable. Like next minute, it's just all connects out of nowhere. They always find the random players out of God knows where, and they fit. So I probably will get proven wrong with Brighton being 9th, to be honest. I think that could be a bit too low, but as I said, I think it's so tight between, I say 4th and below to like 9th. 4th and 9th, I think, would be very, very tight. Not very tight, but within a certain amount of points. I think João Pedro is a very good signing, but it's the same problem. They have 3 strikers. They have 3 9s. What are they? Are they going to stick with what? I know obviously rotation with Europe and stuff like that, but for the Premier, they just going to stick with 1, or are they going to keep rotating? And also, all the big news is Caicedo. Is he actually going to go to Chelsea or not? Me personally, I'm a Chelsea fan. I don't think it's going to happen. He might be in London, might be whatever, but I just think it's too much talk and no action really. We've sent bids. They want 100 million, so we'll see. But yeah, Brighton 9th, 8th. I've gone with Spurs. I think Andrew will do fine. I think 8th's okay for Spurs. It's not too bad. Obviously, his first season as manager, and obviously, realistically, you got to take into account that Kane might leave. It's still going on. Bayern seem like they're not giving up with it, even though there's this deadline thing that Spurs set, or whoever it was, Bayern set. There's still a chance that he could leave, and if he does, obviously they bought Richarlison to be a 9, and he's played off the wing since. Is he going to put up Kane numbers, goal contributions? Absolutely not. So I think that could really, really hurt them. Maddison, I think, will suit them to an absolute T. It seems like they're playing the 4-2-3-1 from what I've seen. Like Maddison in the 10 role. And obviously, I think that's if they do keep Kane, I think they'll finish potentially maybe higher than 8th. But I put them in 8th just for the safe sound of if they lose Kane, I think they could be in a bit of trouble. 7th, I've put Villa. Oh, you've just seen 7th. Oh well. 7th, Villa. I think they'll be fine. Emery, absolute baller of a manager, in my opinion. Top 3 managers last season. And he's got them absolutely cooking. Watkins is on some sort of God knows what, but he's brought back that championship like Brentford Watkins, and he seems like he's unstoppable. Obviously, the signings of Diaby, I haven't watched him too much, but when I have, when he was playing for Europe, for Leverkusen, he was very, very good. His pace is inevitable. Like he's so fast. So I think that's good for him for the Prem anyway. He might not be strong, but the pace of him, it will help. Pau Torres, haven't seen much of him. All I know is a left-sided centre-back. So that kind of asks questions whether Mings will start the season. Obviously, they've got Diego Carlos coming back. Obviously, they added Tielemans as well to the midfield, which is another bit of depth. But talk about depth when it comes to Villa, they haven't got much. I wouldn't say they're overstrengthed in the strike force. They keep getting little nibble injuries, with Ramsey being out for a little while. Buendia seemed like he took a little knock during pre-season. So that comes all into play whether they can stay fit during the season and during Europe. Obviously, they're in the Conference League, I'm going to say. If with them, I think Emre will not think twice of pushing forward for it and just letting the Prem sit and hold that. Hopefully they can hold their position, but their main focus will be Europe, I think, for 100%. 6th, I've got Newcastle. I think they'll be fine. Same again. They've got half decent rotation, I guess, but I think the midfield is obviously the stick out point. They've got Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali. I'm unsure about Tonali, but 6th still. Jonathan's very impressive, but I think it's just defence. The defence is too strong, and it seems like they don't get many injuries from that defence. I haven't seen them sign anyone towards defence yet. I know they wanted Lewis Hall, and I know they were linked with Cucurella as left back, because I don't think they can use Dan Burn for Europe, if I'm honest. For Champions League football, I don't think so. But I think the Howell's a very, very good manager, and I think he'll still get him working. They've signed Harvey Barnes, which I think is a quality sign. Get Almiron out. Like, I know it's a St. Maxi replacement, but yeah, in my opinion, Almiron needs to out of here. But right, 5th. Now this is the one that people might have a laugh at. I've put Chelsea. Going off pre-season, whatever. We can't do any worse than last season. We're not finishing 12th. Like, realistically, Potter seems like he's got roughly what he wants towards tactics and stuff like that. What he's implementing towards fitness. You can see a difference just in our press and things like that. Yeah, it might be a bias side, but I think 5th's pretty realistic. We've got players that have the ability to 100% push on, especially under Poch. It seems like he's done quite well with let's say the Wonder Kids. So yeah, 5th, I think it's realistic. 4th, I've got Liverpool. I think this season will be like a transition season with their midfield. They really need to get a 6. I think obviously Lavia is their main target, and they've sent bids and all sorts. But if they don't get Lavia, it seems like they're gonna put potentially Curtis Jones or McAllister in the 6. I think they're so used to having a stronger 6, like a Fabinho, like a ball-winning midfielder, and I don't think McAllister and Curtis Jones are really that. They're more of let's say a deep line playmaker sort of role, and I get that's quite useful in a 6, but I think for the way they're set up, I don't know, but yeah, I think Liverpool will hit top 400%. Strike force looks strong. Defence is questionable again. I think from what I've seen though, they're starting to push Trent into the inverted like midfield role, and that's the best decision you can probably make. The guy was literally he is a walk-in and light assist. So his goal contributions this season will be very, very high, I think, for Trent, especially in that inverted role. But yeah, let's just hope for Liverpool fans, Van Dijk's actually better this season. It seemed like his injury took a big toll on him last season. Konate was very, very impressive for me. But yeah, I think they'll be fine. And they obviously got Alisson, best keeper in the world. So, but yeah. Third, United. I just think they're going to cook. If I'm honest, the third, second, and first, I think it's going to be stupidly tight. I think United will actually do well. Oh, yes, okay, they signed Mason Mount and whatever. But I think Rasmus Højlund will do quite well. The service that he'll get and the type of runs and stuff that he makes fits Bruno's like persona so well. Like just little dinks over sort of things like that. What he does with Rashford all last season, and look how many goals Rashford got. Rasmus Højlund is literally exactly the same. He likes to pivot behind on the last defender and just boot it. But yeah, no, I think they look good on paper. So as long as they don't get any injuries, I think they might struggle. If they get injuries at the back, I don't think they've got too much cover now. Also, I know they're looking at Todibo, I think it is. I've never watched Todibo, sorry. I've never watched him. I can't comment. Reports saying he's quite good. I'm just going to go off that. But yeah, I think the biggest sign of all, they got Rasmus Højlund and Mason Mount, is Onana. Yeah, okay. He has sometimes messed up, but the ball at his feet, he is one of the best in the world. You can see that. The Champions League final showed that he's got qualities. They paid the fee. This is why I've put them third. I think he will make a massive difference to their campaign this season. So, we'll see. Second, I've put Arsenal. I generally couldn't decide whether it would be City and Arsenal. City, we'll start with Arsenal. Arsenal obviously signed Declan Rice, Havertz, and Timber. Timber's really impressed me. I watched the Community Shield yesterday, and he looks so good at the left back position. I think he'll help Ben White push on, so they go into a free back. So I think he'll be quite vital on the left side. Whether Zinchenko plays more than Timber, obviously they've got Europe this season, so I think Arteta's got a big decision to make whether who plays in the Premier League, who doesn't. Declan Rice, I haven't got to say much more. The guy's a machine in that role. Havertz, I think he might do well under Arteta, but it depends what position he plays. If he plays a 9, I'm saying no. If he plays in like an Odegaard position, like an 8/10 role, I think he'll get quite a decent, not too many, but a decent amount of goal contributions. He's good. Hold up, he's not bad. He's got a good build in him. So, and he's got the right players around him. Martinelli, Odegaard, and Saka, and then obviously the potential of having, you don't know who the 9's going to be, whether it's going to be Trossard and Ketia Balogun, because obviously Jesus being injured. That is a big miss already at the start of the season. So, but yeah, I think they really could win the league. And yeah, I can't see them being far off, if I'm honest. But I have put in win the league, Manchester City. The squad's just too strong. They've lost Gundogan and Mahrez, and they're going to replace them. They bought Kovacic to replace Gundogan. No, I don't think Kovacic is as good as Gundogan, but he can do a job. And he's under the best manager in the world. So, and going off yesterday, the Community Shield, he didn't look bad. He looked like he's found his form again. He was taking on players like he always did. Because he lost his form like that with Chelsea. He just completely dropped off after the World Cup. or maybe it was just a matter of games toll sort of thing, just hurt him. But yeah, that's my predictions. City, Arsenal, United, I think will be incredibly tight. Mind you, United like to pick up results against Arsenal, for example. So, you never know how it's going to go. But thank you guys for watching this video. Name your predictions or comments of my predictions, whether you think I'm completely bang over. I'm waiting for someone to comment about Chelsea finish 5th. But we'll see. Thank you guys for watching. Take care of yourself and peace.